In today's class, we are going to continue with derivative of trigonometric function. So if you haven't watched my previous tutorial on trigonometric function, kindly check my channel. I've solved some where I started trigonometric functions and we derived derivatives of some basic trig functions like cot, uh, tan, so on the like. So today we're going to solve this. So first thing I want you to remember that derivative of cos x equals to minus sine x. Derivative of sine x equals what? Cos x. Don't forget that. I think that's how we'll need in this particular tutorial. So let's get started. So the first example that we have is sine question cube x. Sine cube x. So solution. So if y is equals to this, so that is if y is equals to sine cube x, this sine cube x is the same thing as sine x raised to power 3. It's the same thing as what? Sine x raised to power 3. So in this case now, this has become function of a function. So for you to solve this, you have to use chain rule, which is function of a function. We know, so that means y equals to sine x everything raised to power 3. Sine x everything raised to power 3. So using function of a function, you know that when we have function of a function, you say let u equals to what? Sine x. If u is equal to sine x, that implies that y will be equals to u raised to power 3. So, and remember the rule of function of a function, the y dx equals the y du times the u dx. The y du times the u dx. So implies, so the first thing we'll do is find the y du. We differentiate u with respect to x, then we'll find the u dx. So this is the y du. Then we'll find the u dx. We differentiate u with respect to x, then we'll multiply two of them together. So from what we have here, so this is our y, implies the y du will be equals to, differentiate this with respect to u, bring 3 here, u raised to the power 3 minus 1, and that's what? 3u squared. 3u squared. The u dx, so where's our u? U equals to sine x. Now differentiate sine x. The derivative of sine x is what? Cos x. So which implies that the y dx, so from here now, so from that point now, from here, it implies that the y dx will be equals to, you multiply the y du times the u dx. So the y du is what? 3u squared times the u dx is what? Cos x. So this is going to be equals to 3u squared cos x. 3u squared cos x. So, but you remember that our u is equals to what? Sine x. So you substitute u with sine x. Substitute u with sine x. So that implies that implies the y dx will be equals to 3, what's our u? Sine x. U squared will be equals to sine x squared, or sine square x. 3 sine square x cos x. 3 sine square x cos x. 3 sine square x cos x. So that is a solution to, that is the derivative of sine cube x. The second question that we have here is equals to y is equals cos 4x. So if y is equals to cos 4x, so this is also a case of function of another function. So you say let u equals 4x. Let u equals 4x. So that implies y will be equals to cos u, since u is 4x. So then to use our chain rule says that the y dx will be equals the y du times the u dx. So that implies first we find the y du. So what's the dy du? The derivative of cos u, that will be equals to minus sine u. Minus sine u. So then the u dx, differentiate u with respect to x. The derivative of 4x is equals to what? 4. The u dx equals 4 because the derivative of x is 1 times 4. So now from here, now it implies the y dx will be equals to, you now multiply the two together from here, the y du times the u dx, which is minus sine u times what? 4, which will be equals to minus 4 sine u. But don't forget that our u is equals to what? 4x. So that means this is equals to minus 4 sine 4x. So, and that is the derivative of cos 4x, minus 4 sine 4x. So this is where we are going to stop in this video. So in the next class, we'll solve more examples of trig functions. So if you're just joining this community, make sure that you click the subscribe button and you click the bell notifications. I drop new maths tutorial every day at 5 p.m. West African time. I'll see you in the next class.